What's going on, guys? So the Starfield Direct gave us a lot of new information. Now, the conversation that everyone is having right now is whether or not the game will run at 60 frames on the Xbox Series X. Now, I think we all know that it's probably not going to run that on the S, but I think we all should know that it more than likely isn't going to run like that on the X either. I believe personally, I don't know this factually, I think that it's going to run at 30 frames. Now, 30 frames is not the end of the world. This is a gigantic game. And for anyone who's trying to complain about that because you're being biased, you're being some kind of, for example, PlayStation fanboy or whatever, you need to take into consideration that God of War Ragnarok ran that on the PlayStation 4 and it ran it very, very smoothly according to Digital Foundry. So you can do 30 frames and still have a great game and a game that seems to run pretty well.
But unlike the likes of, say, Horizon the Forbidden West, the differences here are a little more on the subtle side, which is actually good news for owners of the last generation machine.
This is not going to be a grumpy dad simulator, a grumpy dad walking simulator that goes down a certain path that's already been scripted into the game. This is going to be a gigantic overall game, and this game is going to give you a ton of options that you hardly ever see in any PlayStation game or any game, period. I mean, for example, if you go into a structure in God of War, that structure is going to have typically one way in, one way out. You're going to go in one direction. There are going to be certain things that you can pick up, certain things that's pertaining to the game, certain things that's important, and there are going to be certain things that you can't pick up. In Starfield, for example, you'll be able to, let's say you're approaching a building and then you see some people in front of the building, some enemies, and there's also some enemies on the other side of the building. Okay, so in Starfield, you'll be able to either confront those enemies in the front of the building if you want to, or you'll be able to stealth past those enemies, go into the building, and you can stealth through the building, probably if you can, if you want to, if it's set up like that, that'll be an option to at least try. And then you can stealth your way to the back, and then you can fight your way back to the front if you want to, or you can mix it up. You could take on the guys in the front. I don't know if that'll be set up so that the people inside and the people in the back would also respond, but you can take on the guys in the front. Probably the people inside of the building, if the AI is really smart, they probably will detect that. Some of them will probably come out, but eventually you'll make it into the building. Or if you want to, you can take on everybody outside. You can fight everybody in the front of the building, work your way around the building, fight the people in the back of the building, and then save the people inside of the building for last. You can do it any way you want. Then let's say you stealth into the building. Once you get in the building, a firefight kicks off. You weren't trying to kick one off, but it kicked off. You got caught. Okay, let's say that building has 4 doors. You know what that means in Starfield? That means you've got 4 ways to get out of that building. You don't have that option in God of War. Now, please don't get it twisted. I loved God of War Ragnarok. I played it on the PlayStation 4 because I actually bought it on the PlayStation 4 just to show that it ran well. But then I actually ended up liking it so much, I just went on and finished it on the PlayStation 4. So it's a great game, but I'm merely pointing out some facts here. And this is just going to be a gigantic game. Then when you get through killing everybody in the building, you're going to be able to steal uniforms, cigarettes, flashlights, weapons. This is a game where you're going to be able to hijack ships and put those ships in your inventory. You're going to have staff members that you can order to go on missions for you, staff that can speak for you if you want to. If you're talking to somebody and you're not having any luck, you'll be able to tell your guy or your girl to go, hey, we'll go over there and try to negotiate with this person and see if we can get what we want. You're going to have all these different encampments in towns and cities that you're going to go through, all these different factions. You're going to have so many different directions that the story can go. You're going to end up being in a situation where you can be a good guy or a bad guy. You're going to have so many different ways that you can look. They say you can spend hours just trying to figure out, what you're going to do with your character. How you're going to build your character. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like that's true. So this is going to be a much bigger game. So I think everyone knows that it's totally unfair. Yes, do we want it to run at 60 on the Xbox? Sure we do. I want it to run at 60, but I think that anyone who's trying to say that just because, like, let's say this game comes out and it's awesome, and let's say it runs on the same 30 FPS quality as God of War on PlayStation 4, God of War Ragnarok, and Digital Foundry says practically the same thing. That, yeah, it's running at 30, but it runs well. I think that anybody who's going to say, oh, well, that's it, the game just sucks then because it runs at 30 FPS, I think that is absolute nonsense. Also, let's remember this. This is more than likely going to be a game. I'd bet a winning lottery ticket this is going to be a game, especially if it turns out to be a great game. I believe this is the case even if it turns out to be kind of mid. I think that people are just going to keep playing it as it gets better and better. But especially if it's a good game, people are going to play this game for many, many, many years to come. And eventually, I think you will get 60 frames. I would be very surprised if you wouldn't get 60 frames eventually. I'd be willing to bet within the next year to 2 years, you will get 60 frames and all the other bells and whistles on the Xbox. But man, you would have been playing that game for so long by that time. That's just going to be like the whipped cream and the cherry on top of a bowl of ice cream that was already delicious. And think about what Todd said, Todd Howard. He said that we've already showed you a lot about the game, but we haven't been able to show you, I forgot his exact words, but I'm just going to go ahead and say not near everything that's in the game. So they've already showed us so much about the game that is already an obvious indicator of how large the game is going to be. But according to him, there's a ton more to see. Like, for example, if you take a look at this shot right here. Now, in a God of War game, not only God of War, but any of the AAA PlayStation games, there would be a path that you would have to follow. You might be able to go into a couple of little corners here and there, but that would be it. There's a path that you would have to follow. But in Starfield, we all know how it's going to work. You could take this character, spin him around, and look as far as you can see in either direction. And even if in all other directions it looks like this, guess what? Whatever you see, you will be able to walk there. You see that hill straight ahead? You'll be able to go over that hill. But in God of War and any of the other AAA PlayStation games, it's not like that. You know, if there's like a little cave over here near these trees over here on the left that they want you to go in and take care of some business, that's where you're going to go. You're not going to start heading towards these hills over here where the fog is. But in Starfield, you more than likely are going to be able to do that. I would be very shocked if you couldn't, because that's basically how Bethesda games are. And then who knows what's over those hills? This is an exploratory type of game. So keep in mind, if you're playing this on Xbox, don't let these PlayStation guys or anybody else get to you. If this game runs at 30, understand that, like I said, first of all, you're going to have 60 coming down the road and all the other bells and whistles. Okay? You are playing a game that is going to be like no other, except similar to other Bethesda games in the past and other people who have copied Bethesda, which is very few. Most of them that copy Bethesda, they copy the look and the mood, but not the size. So keep that in mind, that you're playing a game. Yeah, they might be playing a game that runs at 60, but I bet it's not going to be a game like Starfield. I can guarantee you that. So you're playing a different type of game. That's all that. It's just really as simple as that. If you want to see what's over that hill, you'll either be able to hump it, especially with the jetpack, or you'll be able to get in your craft and fly up, go right over the hill, see what's over it. You know, you can either land there, or if you don't see anything of interest, you can turn it around and come back and land it, and you're right back here.
When you're done exploring, you can walk back or fast travel to your ship. We have companions and crew you can take with you. I left Vasco here back at my ship.
Welcome back, Captain Howard.
Guess what? In the average AAA banger, there's going to be a fast travel point right here. You'll engage the fast travel point, and then that's how you'll get over that hill. Let's say there is something over that hill. You know there's something over that hill. An encampment with something that you need, some resources. Guess what? In most AAA games, most PlayStation AAA bangers, you're not going to hump it over that hill. Not even if you have a jetpack, you're not going to hump it over that hill. You're going to engage some sort of fast travel mechanism, and that's how you're going to get over that hill. And then you're going to engage a fast travel mechanism in that town where you went to get your resources, and then you're going to fast travel back to where you are right now. That's the way that would work. So there is a huge difference between the average AAA banger and this game right here. This game, if it's what I think it's going to be, this is going to be a special type of game. I'm not trying to senselessly hype it. It's what I really believe. I really think that this is going to be that type of game. And the reason I think that is because of Bethesda's history, their body of work. Guys, they say this game is 25 years in the making, and I believe it. This is going to be a game that's going to have beautiful lighting from the way it looks. The lighting looks very impressive. You're going to be able to play in third person or first person. And in any direction you go in, you may run into a surprise. Keep in mind, you will be able to go in any direction that you want to. That is the way this game is going to play. If you play Bethesda games, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And in any direction, you can run into something like this.
That usually involves exploring an area you've landed in. You can collect resources, do a mission, and maybe even stumble upon something unexpected.
Now, in this next clip of New Atlantis, the clip that they showed in the showcase, I'm going to play this for you. And I want you to keep in mind, you're not going to be able to see the whole city, but I want you to keep in mind how big this city is. Keep in mind that what you're going to be seeing, you're only going to be able to see part of it because you're standing on one side of it. But you can still get a sense of how large it is. And if you know Bethesda games the way I know Bethesda games, understand this. You are going to be able to go everywhere in that city. Those skyscrapers, you're probably going to be able to go up in those skyscrapers. I would be very surprised if you could not. If you want to, you're just going to be able to just explore this game, like literally, and don't even play any main parts of the game. You probably could get hours of gameplay out of this game just walking around looking at things, not shooting at one single thing, not getting into melee fight with anyone other than if you want to, you can just do enough melee to survive and run away. Think about how many countless hours of gameplay there is in this game just doing things like that. And if you're somebody who's into the character building and the ship building, let's say you don't ever want to engage anybody. Let's say you totally want to ignore the story. You just want to get into character building. You just want to get into ship building. You just want to get into stealing ships. Let's say you just want to get into seeing how many items you can collect in this game, whether it be wrenches, candy bars, sodas, whatever. Man, I just cannot say enough about how large this game is going to be. So I keep saying this because I really believe this game is going to be 30 frames, and I don't want you to let these people con you into believing that you don't have a treasure of a game because it runs at 30 frames. That's bullshit. Now take a look at this clip, and just while you're looking at it, just think about the places that you could go in this game. Think about how large this city is and the fact that you're going to probably be able to go everywhere in this city. Take a look.
Welcome to UC Space. Maintain your current course while we scan your ship's cargo. Scan complete. You are cleared for landing at New Atlantis.
As soon as you land in a city like New Atlantis, your eyes are guided upwards to just these boundless, vast buildings.
It's the biggest city we've ever made, not just in size, but also in the amount of custom art, crowds, and quests.
So the main focus when we're designing a city is obviously what supports the story. We try and tell as many small stories as possible.
This is a colony war memorial.
So hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. It's already gone on long enough, longer than I typically like to make my videos, but I had a whole lot I wanted to say on this 60 FPS subject. So hey guys, You guys know I'm waiting for this game to come out. Right now, I'm just keeping the channel busy with coming out with some shorts and whatnot, and putting some other gameplay videos on the channel. Every now and then I come out with a video that's it's a narrated video, but it's on the subject that has nothing to do with Starfield. But guys, look, I promise you, when this game comes out, this is going to be at least 98% of my focus. So probably for years to come. I can just about assure you it's going to be for years to come. But hey guys, stick with me. And if those of you who are not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be talking a whole lot more about Starfield. We're getting to the point now where a lot of Starfield information is going to be coming out. It's been very dry lately, and I just really didn't feel like struggling to come up with information and stuff to talk about in the video. You know, I would look at some of these videos some of these other creators would make about Starfield, and I don't know, the videos to me were just a reminder of how dry it is, and I didn't want to make a video like that. So I like to talk about things when I'm really feeling excited about it, because I think you can probably detect if I'm just BSing it. So I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to make another video, and we're going to discuss this showcase even further and discuss some things that was revealed in the showcase. But hey guys, as usual, stay safe.